Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. How's Eddie Frederick?
So glad you can join us. Trinidadian elected to International Criminal Court. This story takes the lead in our 1015th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday 28th December 2020. Details when we return. Welcome back. First and foremost, I trust and pray that you had a wonderful Christmas holiday and that you're all steamed up and recharged to face the new year as you move diligently to closing 2020, which was an awesomely challenging year for us, nonetheless one that gave us an opportunity to grow. A High Court judge from Trinidad and Tobago, Justice Althea Alexis Windsor, has been elected to the International Criminal Court, the ICC, for the 2021 to 2030 term. She is one of 6 judges elected after 8 rounds of voting, which began on December 18th to fill 6 vacancies at the court. Alexis Windsor, who was elected in the 8th round with 86 of the 118 votes, surpassed her rival from Tunisia, Hakel Ben Makford. Judges who are nominated to the ICC have experienced either litigating or adjudicating cases before the International Criminal Tribunal and the ICC itself. Alexis Windsor, who was appointed a judge of the local Supreme Court in Trinidad and Tobago in 2013, previously served as Trial and Appeals Counsel at the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda from 2004 to 2013. She was also a senior state counsel at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and was Deputy Director of the Human Rights Unit at the Office of the Attorney General. The newly elected judges will fill the vacancies of 6 outgoing judges and will begin their 9-year term on March 10, 2021. Alexis Windsor was nominated by the Twin Island Republic's Permanent Mission to the United Nations in April. Her nomination was also endorsed by the Caribbean Community CARICOM. In a questionnaire published on the ICC's website on the nominees, Alexis Windsor said she believed she had a contribution to make in international law. I have an abiding desire to see the legal system provide catharsis for witnesses and victims and to be a part of the mandate of the ICC to erode impunity for breaches of international criminal law, she said. Still on Trinidad and Tobago, the Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley plans to lead by example whenever the World Health Organization approves a COVID-19 vaccine for his country, and he says the Health Minister will receive the vaccine after he does. Jewel Brown of TV6 News reports.
When WHO signs off on what is acceptable as a vaccine for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, I will be the first in line to have my vaccine. As long as it is, you will be second.
I'll be second. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, as he made it clear to Health Minister Terence Dial Singh, the order of who will be receiving whichever COVID-19 vaccine is approved by the World Health Organization for the Twin Island Republic, as there continues to be a debate for and against COVID vaccines.
As long as it is signed off by WHO as a scientific product for this purpose, I have no hesitation in taking it myself or recommending it for my family.
Pfizer's and Moderna's COVID-19 vaccines received emergency use authorization by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for distribution in the U.S.
I would not be fazed by the comments about what vaccines can and cannot do. Understand the program is meant to breed a new sort of human beings who can be manipulated by your cell phone and that sort of thing. I read too much Dick Tracy when I was growing up to allow that too. So that's where we are in Trinidad and Tobago. As soon as we get our vaccines, we have told you what the line is going to be.
The Prime Minister said the nation's healthcare givers, who he thanked for their service during the pandemic, will be up front in the line to get the vaccine, as well as those in elderly care residences. Dr. Rowley then made reference to the new strain of COVID-19 that first appeared in the UK, where the first person in the world received the Pfizer vaccine.
And we now have to confront the possibility of the efficacy of the vaccine not being what it was shown to be at the beginning, because the variants might not be the kind of lock and key arrangements for the vaccine. But we are hoping that that is not so.
Dr. Rowley also confronted what he identified as online criticism of the return of his daughter, who had been in New York.
And I'm insulted at this stage for some nameless, faceless social media creature to be causing you to be talking to me about my daughter getting to the head of the line. No, it wasn't the head of the line. It was the end of the iguana tail. She came home on the last flight that could have brought her home in time for Christmas. No favors, didn't jump any queue.
He said his daughter, who had been in New York, desperately wanted to return to her family in Trinidad and Tobago earlier, but had to stay in New York.
And I watched the numbers. And she's in New York, taking the train, taking the Uber, mixing with people in the hospitals, and I'm saying, there but for the grace of God go I. And she has come home to this country, among the last. She's been here for, how long? I saw her yesterday, close up for the first time. All right? So, all those who feel they have a story on that, you're on your own with that.
Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Meantime, National Security Minister Stuart Young is warning anyone involved in assisting the transportation or movement of illegal immigrants that their actions are so illegal that he hints a probe could be underway into people defending these illegal immigrants. Vanessa Cutting of TV6 News reports.
National Security Minister Stuart Young relates a recent incident where a lawyer, in defending his clients, inadvertently admitted to having knowledge of illegal acts.
For a lawyer to sit and to tell a court, and I was present in the court one Sunday night at 8:30, well, we know that they're in a vessel just outside of the Trinidadian waters, and I was the one, I pointed it out. I can't say much more because it's a matter that's before the court, but I was shocked that someone would have that type of information.
He speaks of a well-orchestrated system facilitating the importation of illegal migrants, and he points out aiding and abetting is a criminal offense.
Understand as well that the vast majority of these Venezuelans, if not all, were not able to speak English.
So would that type of information form part of a probe then into how that is?
I think it should.
The National Security Minister says he's entering 2021 with a heavy heart, owing to the failure of the opposition to support anti-gang and bail amendment legislation. But he says, as National Security Minister, he continues to put in the work to ensure that the country is kept safe.
Conversation that the Commissioner, the Chief of Defence Staff, and myself have had, we recognize that we want to put some more resources up on the North Coast. So one of the ideas that we're exploring right now is to use a concept similar to the IATF. Should hear more about it as it rolls out.
The minister met with officers of the Defence Force and Police Service to extend Christmas greetings and thank them for their service. Also present was Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith, who said while he is also disappointed that his men do not have the necessary legislative backing, he still has some hope for the new year.
I do hope that we can start looking at, in 2021, taking away the negativity. Too often, and you would have seen it in an editorial of a newspaper, as I said, that continue to express themselves, it's always based on being negative, discrediting, criticizing, condemning. These officers, they continue to do so much to bring hope, belief, trust. And sometimes just to say thank you or to appreciate it can go a long way. The police service, even with limited legislation, we will do all that we can.
The TTPS reports a 25 to 35% reduction in every major crime for this year. Vanessa Cutting, TV6 News.
In other news, agriculture in Antigua and Barbuda has received a major boost with the exchange of technical expertise from a cooperation project with China Aid. ABS's Ursel Charles Jr. reports on this fruitful initiative, which is being extended.
We have already penned a missive to your government asking for an extension of this project. Of course, the expansion of the project is for the Ministry of Agriculture. But from Foreign Affairs, we really want to say just how grateful we are on behalf of people of Antigua and Barbuda, especially our farming community, our agricultural sector,
That was Minister for Foreign Affairs, the Honourable E.P. Chet Green, confirming plans to extend this country's agricultural relationship with China aid. This was revealed during Prime Minister Gaston Brown's tour of the Greencastle Agricultural Station in Bendels. The Prime Minister was evidently pleased with the outcome of the more than $8 million China aid venture.
The project started 3 years ago and would have resulted in a significant increase in the transfer of technology to our local farmers. In addition, the produce that are actually grown here, they are donated to a number of institutions, to include the Science Institute, the hospital, and other institutions. In fact, they have also been donating seedlings to our farmers and would have helped to build capacity in this critical area.
Agriculture Minister, the Honourable Samantha Marshall, spoke in glowing terms of the outcomes of the accord with the Yuan Longping High-Tech Agricultural Company.
We are truly very happy with what Longping has been able to do here with our local farmers. This is a collaboration, and it is to help us increase our production and to ensure that we produce at a more resilient level. The truth of the matter is, if we are going to take agriculture serious, we have to be open-minded, different varieties, and also to different techniques.
The principals of the company took to extending best wishes to the nation for the Christmas season. For ABS News, I am Ursula Charles Jr.
Huge and continued support.
A final date has not yet been set for the 2021 budget presentation in Guyana, but it is expected to be tabled sometime in February. This is according to Senior Minister of Finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, who spoke with members of the media on Wednesday last. Wendell Badri of HGP Nightly News has more.
So I guess that's the main point that I wanted to make, really, just to say that a final determination on the budget date has not yet been made, but we're aiming for early February.
That was the Senior Minister of Finance within the Ministry of the Presidency, Dr. Ashni Singh, speaking to Budget 2021 presentations. While stating that he will not go into details of what the budget will contain for the new year, and submitting that this will be the first full-year budget for this government, the senior minister posited.
We're going to do the same in 2021. What we're going to use Budget 2021 to do is to outline our medium and long-term vision for the country. So that's really what, what will distinguish Budget 2021 from other budgets. So it's going to have a very strong medium and long-term orientation, focusing on the medium and long-term priorities of the government.
The minister alluded to the PPPC's manifesto, which he says speaks a whole lot to what persons can expect in Budget 2021.
And that will be our main departure point. So we will obviously be building on what we have on in the manifesto, but in some cases elaborating those. So first and foremost, the budget will outline the medium-term and longer-term vision for the country, vision of our government for the longer term for the country.
Singh posited that a number of large-scale projects being referred to over the time the government has been elected will be realized through the 2021 budget. Shying away from pronouncing on whether or not this will be the biggest budget the country has ever seen, the minister stated that it is too early to decide on that fact. The senior minister stated that his government will be focused on spending on projects that matter to citizens as opposed to inefficient spending. The senior minister further posited that since we are into the last 2 weeks of December, the government is more focused on implementing the final stages of the 2020 budget. He also stated that already a number of major projects have been initiated via the emergency budget tabled and implemented by the government.
Infrastructural works initiated, policies implemented, things like reversal of some of the punitive measures tax measures that were in place prior to our assumption of office.
He also spoke to members of the discipline services, among other public service workers, such as health officials receiving their bonuses before Christmas. Wendell Battery, HGP Nightly News.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.